What's going on, everybody? You got Tone here. It's been a while, hasn't it? But rest assured, I'm doing just fine. What you wouldn't be in store to know is, I've taken part in a brand new draft league. Yeah, shocker, I know. It's been a whole roughly month and a half since my last upload, and I do humbly apologize for that due to IRL stuff coming up, but with that finally settling down over the last few weeks, I finally have some time to actually do a brand new draft league, and shocker, it's something completely out of my field of choice. By that I mean, I've been invited to take part in the SPL for season number 3. Not only is it now going to be season number 3 of SPL, it's going to be something completely different and completely out of my field. It's not going to be singles, it's going to be VGC. Ugh, what did I decide to sign up for this time? Oh well, that's the break to take. But with that out of the way, let's just jump right into the team, shall we? And see what exactly I decided to do with a team or format, let alone, that I know next to nothing about. So, here we go. So, kicking off our draft so far, we have Ogerpon Heartflame. Heading into this draft, I honestly, like I said, don't know what the heck I'm doing in VGC, so I figured just try to get the best Pokemon available that fell to me all the way in position number 9 out of a total of 20 coaches. And I figured in a format with VGC where the last thing I need to worry about is having hazard removal, I figured why not try to get one of the best Pokemon available that doesn't have to worry about hazards in Ogerpon Heartflame. Being able to have moves like Mold Breaker to bypass certain abilities, and having a super strong move with Ivy Cudgel with Fire and Grass Stab like Wood Hammer, and even stuff with access to like Spiky Shield for protection, Follow Me support, stuff like that. But basically, the one thing I wanted with Ogerpon, just having a hard-hitting physical attack right off the bat, and with the fact that I am item locked unfortunately with the Heartflame Mask, but having the ability to have both access to full Terra, since all Pokemon on your team can Terrasilize, it's not restrictive like in standard draft league format. So having the ability to immediately Terra this thing for Terra Fire, and fire off super strong Ivy Cudgels with honestly no real drawback is pretty cool, all things considered. The only thing though that does hinder Ogerpon Heartflame though is the fact that it can be easily checked by opposing fire types as well as dragon types, since both of those resist. Since dragon type specifically resists Ogerpon's dual stab. I wanted to at the very least address the fire type check at the very least, so I wanted to get one of the hardest hitting water type Pokemon available at this point in grabbing Keldeo. While Keldeo is not really known for its VGC prowess in this metagame, I decided to go after it if only due to the fact that I wanted to have something that's reasonably fast but also a good fire check for Ogerpon. Being able to have access to stuff like not even Surf but like Muddy Water, Secret Sword to bypass those the hard-hitting special walls that can come in and check Keldeo, and grass types that can deal with Keldeo or Terra Grass can be dealt with by Ogerpon. Even so, it even has Icy Wind for speed control, which helps out Ogerpon in the long run. Overall, a hard-hitting special attacker, specifically one that can check fire-type Pokemon for Ogerpon. Ogerpon checks the fire-type, the grass types for Keldeo, so overall it felt like a good 2-mon combination right there. Next up, I knew since it was VGC, I definitely wanted to get some support, and I figured I'd get one of the best support mons available in this format in grabbing Volbeat. Realistically speaking, I didn't really want Volbeat. My target was Illumise, but unfortunately that got sniped. The main reason for wanting Illumise over Volbeat because of the fact that Illumise does get access to Fake Tears, which does benefit my Keldeo, but that aside though, Volbeat does pretty much the exact same thing that Illumise would have done for my team anyway. The main thing being a great support mon with access to Sunny Day, which boosts the power of Ivy Cudgel for Ogerpon, Rain Dance, which boosts the power of Keldeo's Water Stab, Tailwind support, Thunder Wave support, Encore for disawaiting setup and just messing up my opponents in general, and just a good plethora of other moves like Struggle Bug, Pounce to lower my opponent's offensive potential against my team. Overall though, Volbeat is a fantastic Pokemon in this format, and having the good Prankster support to go along with my two hard-hitting attackers just makes things a little bit easier for my team overall, and I definitely want to snag out the best support I could at this point in the draft. Next up, I did want to get a bit more support and to continue my offensive potential, so round 4 I ended up snagging up good old Salamence here, and the main reason for Salamence was basically just to have not only the Intimidate buff, which is like one of the best abilities to have in VGC, but with Salamence on the team, I have the option to not only go physical, I can also go special, I can go mixed, so it really is a coin toss on what I could potentially bring on the Salamence. Especially in a free Terra format, stuff like even DD Moxie can get out of hand with some proper setup. And the fact that I do have access to stuff like Volbeat for Thunderwave support, Tailwind support, to go along with not only Keldeo and with my Ogerpon, having the ability to offensively check any sort of Dragon-type Pokemon, whether it be Terra or otherwise, just benefits my team overall in the long run. And for that moment, and for the main reason of also having Intimidate as a means of weakening physical attackers against my team, I figured that was the best choice to get for round number 4. Round 5 though, snagged up Tyranitar, and for anyone who knows me, for the most part for Generation 9, if it's one thing I don't like dealing with is weather. And it feels weird to not only draft a weather mon like Tyranitar, but the thing is, I know from my little experience of watching VGC, that weather is a prevalent metagame warper. Basically in the sense of having access to either like Sun with Torkoal or Ninetales, Rain with Politoed or Pelipper, and even Snow with Alolan Ninetales. I wanted to have my own means of controlling the weather war as it would be, as opposed to just succumbing to it altogether, just relying solely on Volbeat. Tyranitar at the very least gives me that option of having a good sand, not only a sand abuser since it does get the special defense boost with the sand up, but I also get the access to terrasilize it into like something like flying or ghost to get rid of its crippling weakness to fighting. Flying helps with getting to its ground, the weakness to ground. So I do have options, and overall it's a hard-hitting physical attacker. Benefits from having Ogerpon on the team since it does have a way of struggling into grass-type Pokemon, or even Terra Grass in general, so having Ogerpon in conjunction with T-Tar can definitely be beneficial for that in the long run. So I figured while I also grabbed Tyranitar, why not grab its best friend? So we got Excadrill as well, just to have another means of initial and immediate speed in conjunction with Tyranitar with Sand Rush. So this is also very, very good for my team. Excadrill is just really, really powerful if it's able to get into a position where I can just go and get, with sand support from Tyranitar, I'm able to outspeed most Pokemon. In conjunction, if I do have Tailwind support from Volbeat, I can essentially outspeed the entirety of my opponent's team whatsoever. And even problematic Pokemon for Excadrill, like flying type Pokemon, mainly stuff like Corviknight or Talonflame. I mean, I have responses to those Pokemon. I have Ogerpon, I have Tyranitar, I have Special Salamence, so I have ways of dealing with those Pokemon, which makes Excadrill that much more of a threat in this metagame. The only real downside to Excadrill is it's kind of weak, so to speak, depending on the matchup, but overall though, just having the ability to at least have my opponent have to prep for the possibility of Sand with T-Tar and then have to deal with Ogerpon, Keldeo, and Salamence and the like, can make this thing a lot more threatening in the long run. So I'm really happy I picked up Excadrill to pair up with T-Tar to complete that Sand Core. Next up, I did end up stacking up good old reliable Gardevoir. So this was not originally my favorite type of choice here, but with Gardevoir on the team, it does allow my team a bit more flexibility, and by that I mean I do have a means of having Trick Room support. While it may not come up that much, considering my team is relatively fast as it is, like this is actually the slowest Pokemon I've drafted so far, excluding Volbeat because Prankster, but Gardevoir actually does provide my team a bunch of utility, not only as being a fairy type, which is really, really important because overall though, strong dragon type Pokemon are still problematic for my team to deal with. I didn't really have the best ways of dealing with dragon types aside from offensively. Defensively though, Gardevoir is still a liability somewhat on the physical side, but on the special side though, it can chunk hits for days. And like I mentioned, I do have the option of Trick Room. I have the option of being an overall good support mon with this Pokemon in general. And for those of you who have seen me use Gardevoir in singles format, using it in doubles is definitely going to be an experience, especially considering that it also gets access to telepathy. So I can freely spam those moves that hit all Pokemon freely whenever I have to worry about having my Gardevoir being hit by it. So stuff like Keldeo Surf, Excadrill's Earthquake, I do not have to worry about my Gardevoir taking any damage whatsoever thanks to telepathy. It's going to be definitely different for me from using Trace, but regardless, I do have my means of utilizing Gardevoir to the best of my abilities, and it fits the team fairly well, as overall it gives me another hard-hitting special attacker to pair with Keldeo and special Salamence should the need arise. Next up, I ended up going with Kilowattrel here. Just looking at my team overall, my team was sorely lacking in speed. My fastest Pokemon was Ogerpon, and I didn't want to rely solely on just getting up stand with Tyranitar for Excadrill to outspeed stuff. So having something naturally fast at 125 speed with Kilowattrel just makes things a lot easier for me in the long run. What's more, Kilowattrel also provides my team with some good niches. So first and foremost, being an electric type, so I can freely spam stuff like Discharge. Discharge in conjunction with Excadrill makes it very easy for me. I can Discharge freely without ever having to worry about hitting my own Pokemon, and Excadrill click Earthquake without having to worry about Kilowattrel taking any damage. Second of all, it does give me a deterrent to Intimidate since it gets access to Competitive. So I have a means of boosting its special attack by 2 stages whenever one of its stats gets lowered by an opponent. So Kilowattrel does have a lot of things going for it aside from just being a natural speed demon. It also does get access to stuff like Wind Power, which may come up depending, because it does get a charge boost if Tailwind goes up from my Volbeat or from the opponent. And still Volt Absorb is also a cool ability just if that comes up, but mostly I'll be using it to try to deter my opponents from intimidating my physical attackers, which will definitely try to come up in the long run. And then lastly on my team, we picked up Cinccino here. Not really much to say about Cinccino, but the thing with Cinccino was I wanted something that had a decent speed tier between Kilowattrel and Ogerpon. And the one thing that did stand out to me was Cinccino, just because despite the fact that mainly it's used for like technician stuff with Tail Slap and whatnot, it actually has a pretty decent support move pool. Nothing compared to stuff like Mouse Hold, but on the whole though, it's still a pretty decent mod overall. And hopefully I'm able to actually bring this thing, because there are some pretty cool stuff I looked up in its move pool that's actually pretty surprising that it has access to. But more often than not, it's probably just going to be a solid support offensive, not really offensive, but a bulky support mod in general for the rest of my team with stuff like Helping Hand. It doesn't get access to Follow Me, unfortunately, like Mousehold does, but regardless of that, even stuff like Technician boosted attacks like Tail Slap and Bullet Seed, Rock Blast can definitely come up in certain matchups, so I'm definitely wanting to try out Cinccino for the most part. And overall, just considering the points I had left, it was the best Pokemon I felt that was available for my team, just to round it out pretty nicely. So, there's the team for SPL Season Number 3, VGC. Let me know what you think about the team in the comments down below, and be sure to check out all the other coaches taking part for SPL Season Number 3. I'm definitely looking forward to using this team myself. Granted, from a VGC perspective, I know next to nothing when it comes to this format whatsoever, so I'm expecting to get absolutely bodied in all my matchups. But hey, that won't stop me from trying. But be sure to be on the lookout for week 1 of the SPL, which will be going up a week from this upload. And for anyone looking forward to the How to Draft series, don't be alarmed, they will be going up starting this coming Thursday. So be on the lookout for that. Be on the lookout for all the other coaches taking part in the SPL, and be sure to check them out in the description down below. So, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video as much as I have, and this is going to be a lot of fun and a huge experience for all of us. So, until the next time, this is Tone, signing out for now. Peace out.